Hey guys, we're back for some more standard. After kind of looking at sort of rebuilding a mono white aggressive slash mid-range deck, I ended up shaving a whole bunch more cards and kind of eventually settled on something like this. This is a little bit similar to the mono white aggro life gain deck that I had in the past, and I did want to have a really strong game against like mono red aggro and Boros Convoke, which are both really prevalent in the format right now, extremely fast, low to the ground. And so having enough lifelink and ways of gaining life, I think is really important. And if we're going to be gaining life, we might as well be using Voice of the Blessed, which is really good with gaining life and just presents a really strong threat. And then in addition, I also wanted to have some tools to be able to combat the blue-white control decks, which are also really prevalent and super hard for mono white typically to deal with. So bringing in a couple copies of Invasion of Gobakhan to start messing with their hands a little bit, some Thalias to slow things down, and then running a couple Myrixes. And Myrix can go long in that super grindy matchup and give you a way of creating a creature at the end of their turn, which you can then use to hopefully kill them the next turn if they do a big board wipe. So that's helpful. I found that with my 1-drops, Novice Inspector is just fantastic, providing lots of value, combos really well with Warden of the Inner Sky. And then I also wanted to make sure I had enough life gain with like Lunarch Veteran and Ruin Lurker Bat. And then Warden itself is just such a huge threat and so good in this type of deck. For our 2-drops, we have 4 copies of Voice of the Blessed, kind of going with all the life gain that we have going on here. Again, 2 copies of Invasion of Gobakhan, 2 copies of Thalia, 4 copies of Regal Bunnicorn, because this is still a huge threat. Regal Bunnicorn is very good with Novice Inspector and Adeline, which both create multiple different tokens, and so that's just another nice, powerful threat. And then I put in 2 copies of Intrepid Adversary. If we kind of glut on mana, this can be sort of a way to spend mana in the late game and provide a big threat. It gives us some more lifelink, which is super important against mono red and Boros. And then kind of for our top end, we've got 4 copies of Adeline. Having that 4 toughness is so important against mono red. It's just kind of the gold standard. I really wanted to have a couple copies of Sanguine Evangelist, but I couldn't make room, and I can definitely see them doing very well in a deck like this, but I just wanted to really have the staying power of the 4 power, or the 4 toughness of Adeline, Knight Errant of Eos, and then 2 copies of Steel Seraph to help us gain life and sort of combat sort of aggressive strategies, which also help Voice of the Blessed. For the land, we have 21 lands, 2 copies of Iganjo, 2 copies of Myrix to kind of go long and also provide us with color mana when we need it for like Voice of the Blessed on 2 or Adeline on 3, and then 17 planes. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate you being here. And if you like my content, please consider subscribing or maybe dropping a comment or like and sharing it with a friend of yours who might also like it. For my returning viewers, thank you guys so much again for supporting my channel. It really does mean the world to me. So let's go ahead and jump into a couple games. I'm hoping to do maybe like the occasional draft as well. I am excited to compete in the Arena Open here at the beginning of March, and so I think that could be a lot of fun. This opening hand looks great. We have a lot of stuff to do here. We can lead out with Veteran and then set up for a turn 3 Knight Errant of Eos. And we have 3 land here, so even if they kill something, next turn we'll still be able to Knight Errant. Let's go ahead and attack first, just in case they want to use... Actually, never mind, we want to use Warden. Well, I guess we could still use Warden here with Inspector, so I guess we can just go ahead and attack. Okay, don't need any more land. Okay, so they're probably holding something like Go for the Throat here. We could Adeline and just start pushing, but seeing as they have mana open, I'd rather go for Knight Errant. So let's Voice of the Blessed into Knight Errant. Okay, and happy to pick up a backup Adeline and a Ruin Lurker Bat. So Go for the Throat probably goes on Voice of the Blessed here, I assume. Or Bitter Triumph, sure. Yeah, and that's going to be enough to just push it over the top. So those are kind of the starts that you're looking for. And then the real question is, you can kind of adjust it as you see fit, but maybe if you're running into like a lot of control, you could maybe nudge up to like 3 Thalias and 3 Invasions of Gobekhan. Right now I've got 2 of each, and we're going to see how that goes. Unfortunately, I don't want to keep a 1-lander here. I don't want to get stuck on 1. This looks a lot better. What do we want to toss back? It's kind of nice to have access to Thalia, since we don't know what we're up against. The Lurker Bats are great with the Voice of the Blessed, though. I'm a little tempted to just throw Thalia back here. Okay, so he's probably powering up for either Sunfall, or possibly he might have like temporary lockdown, so you want to be a little careful with leading out with too much stuff here. I think let's go ahead and attack and just see what he does. So maybe go for Inspector here, just to kind of hedge a little bit. Well, I suppose having another Ruin Lurker Bat would help. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Inspector, though. 4/4 is still pretty threatening, and I want to draw into my 4th land. Okay, there's the lockdown. So now we could Inspector plus Bat plus draw, or we could go Adversary here. I think I'd rather have double creature. Okay, so this is kind of a rough one. Let's just drop Adeline at this point, I think. Could also Adversary. If he has another temporary lockdown, though, it's kind of rough. Okay, let's, guess we lose Voice of the Blessed here. Yeah, and I'm glad we played out the Adeline, because Path of Peril would have definitely... I guess it'd be about the same, but... Here we'll make the token just for the extra damage. Edict is super rough. Yeah, Veteran is nice, but it's kind of low threat value here. We do start gaining a little bit of life, which is going to be nice, but although I guess we could make 2 creatures next turn with like the Mirrex plus the Lunarch Veteran, so it's actually not the worst. Outrageous Robbery is pretty rough. Yeah, this is definitely not going well. See if we can try to climb back into this game a little bit. Unfortunately, that's going to do it. All they need to do is activate one of their fortresses, and that's it. So yeah, definitely has some trouble with lockdown. This opening hand looks great. And I guess let's see how we do against Boros. Nice pickup there with Voice of the Blessed. Bit strange to see Kumano faces Kakazan in traditional Boros. I don't think they usually run it, but it might be kind of like a slightly different build. And Veteran is a really nice pickup as well. So I think I'm just gonna, instead of going Knight Errant here, I mean Knight Errant is pretty good, but I think I want to get some hits in and just drop a Bunnicorn down to slow them down. You have to be a little careful about, oh, the case is nasty. So they take out Bunnicorn. Oh, that's interesting. Going for the bat. I would have assumed they would have killed the Bunnicorn with that. They would have had essentially a free attack. Okay, here I think we just go Seraph and then lifelink the Voice of the Blessed. Definitely a nice pickup. And that should be enough here. I'll hold the Lunarch Veteran back just to be totally safe. Yeah, I don't think you can race the Voice of the Blessed. Don't think that's going to work too well. And I guess we can Knight Errant here. Yeah, that's basically going to do it. So yeah, Voice of the Blessed, definitely super clutch in the Boros Convoke deck. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys kind of a little taste, you know, taking a look back at the deck. Let's take a look at the stats real quick. Okay, so this deck has gone through a couple iterations that were quite different. But currently it is 78% win rate, 7 wins and 2 losses. So looking at what it's come up against, it's 1 in the mirror, 2-0, 1-0 against Mono Black. Orzhov, as you guys just saw, it did lose to. Control can be rough. It hasn't played Blue-White yet, so we'll have to see. But 1-0 against Mono Red, 1-0 against Boros Convoke, 1-0 against Mono Green, and 1-0 against the Gruul Pump Your Guys deck. And then it did take a loss here to Naya. So this might have been Domain. I'm not sure if it's... This kind of just only shows what you see. But the previous version of the deck, after I was kind of doing my sort of building process, looking through all the different cards I might want to play, I did some really fun things where I was using Neighborhood Guardian, which actually was doing a ton of work. I swapped things over for more life gain with like Voice of the Blessed, but I had a turn where I had like 2 or 3 of these things out, and I had like +5/+5 spread out over a bunch of stuff because it was just kind of going nuts with the Knight Errant, and this was an interesting creature at the very least. And then a couple Norn's Inquisitors, which worked really well with Warden of the Inner Sky. So some very interesting stuff. Sanguine Evangelist is always really good. Again, it's just making room and like what do you know, how to fit it all in. So at any rate, thanks guys for watching. We'll be doing more and maybe some drafts, and you guys are awesome and I appreciate you so much.